I left town for 3 days just to pick up a dog. When I got back, balloons were everywhere. Congrats on your new studio, Chloe. My room was gone. My stuff was in trash bags. She needs this more than you do, Dad said. Don't be selfish. That night, I slept on a cot next to my dog in the garage. The next morning, I got a notification, $3,800 spent on creative furniture. My credit card was empty, so I didn't argue. I didn't say a word. I just left. 3 months later, I got a legal notice because I did this. I left town for 3 days just to pick up a dog. When I got back, balloons were everywhere. Congrats on your new studio, Chloe. Dad, why is all my stuff in trash bags? I asked. My voice came out calm, which scared me more than yelling would have. He didn't even look up from his phone, just tapped something on the screen, then shrugged like I'd asked why it was raining. She needs this more than you do, he said. Don't be selfish. Balloons bobbed against the ceiling, golden, white, cheap foil from the dollar store, still half full, like the room had just exhaled. In the doorway to what had been my bedroom, a glittering banner, welcome to your new creative space. Chloe. My bed was gone. The desk replaced with an IKEA vanity and a ring light. My books were shoved into torn trash bags, stuffed behind the garage door like forgotten donations. I was gone. My dog, still on the leash, sat beside me, wagging his tail, unaware that the house I grew up in had quietly decided I didn't live there anymore. Chloe peeked out from behind the door of her new studio. A paintbrush in one hand, her iPad in the other. Doesn't it feel bigger now? Like lighter? She looked at me like we were co-founders of this brilliant transformation. Then she added, oh, also, I used your credit card. Hope that's cool. It was saved on my laptop. My hand twitched. I opened my phone. $3,800. Creative Furniture Warehouse. I didn't argue. I didn't even ask why. I walked to the garage and unfolded the old cot from when Grandpa used to visit. No pillow, no blanket, just me, the dog, and the cold hum of betrayal settling in like dust. And that was the night I realized I was never part of this house. I was a placeholder, a background character in my sister's highlight reel. But they had no idea what I was about to do next. For almost a year, I paid the mortgage quietly, without fanfare, without even asking for thanks. Groceries? On me. Wi-Fi? Me. Streaming accounts? Yes. Car insurance? Don't make me laugh. I never lived at home full-time, not since college. But I paid like I did. Chloe hadn't held a steady job in 3 years. First, it was mental health. Then the art collective didn't align with her values. Then going freelance. Dad called it finding herself. Mom called it growth. I called it what it was, freeloading. And still, I let it go, until that day with the balloons. That was the first time they didn't even bother pretending. 3 days. I was gone for 3 days. I drove across 2 states to pick up a rescue dog because they begged me not to adopt locally. Just wait, Dad said. We know someone near Portland who's fostering. He's the perfect match. Perfect match, huh? Came back to no bed, no room, and apparently no say in my own money. The next morning, I checked my account, cleaned out. Not even a warning. Chloe had used the emergency credit card, the one I kept for repairs, for breakdowns, for real life problems. She blew nearly $4,000 on vision boards, creative storage, and a ridiculous chandelier. A chandelier for a room with popcorn ceilings and a closet full of glitter markers. I texted her, you used my card. She replied, it's art, not spending. Then, don't make this a thing. And finally, Mom said it was okay. I stared at that last text for a long time. Then I walked into the kitchen. Dad was reading the paper like it was 1995. I asked him one question. Did you know? He folded the paper once, real slow, and didn't even blink when he said, it's just money. She's building something real. You wouldn't understand. You mean like a career? No, a platform. That word, platform, like she was some genius in a garage inventing the next iPhone. All she'd posted online for 3 months were poorly lit reels of her painting sad girls on mason jars. She's working towards something. Mom chimed in from the sink, you work from a laptop. It's not the same. That hit me harder than I expected. Like, I didn't bleed to keep them afloat just because I did it from a desk. That week, things spiraled. Chloe started acting like a celebrity in her own house. She posted a studio reveal on Instagram with a tour of my old room, captioned, turning childhood trauma into creative space. The comments flooded in, Queen, you deserve this. Finally, someone who gets it. Yes, take up space. Take up space. She took mine. Then came the podcast. She started recording it from my old closet. She even renamed the Wi-Fi to Chloe's Studio Vibes. But the final straw wasn't a balloon or a bill. It was a message from my bank. Suspicious activity detected on linked device. Large transfer request pending. $2,000 to Art Therapy Services LLC. I froze. I hadn't approved that. I never even heard of that business. Chloe had. It was her friend's healing startup. They made custom journals for people with generational trauma. They were asking for a donation. My sister gave them my savings. I didn't scream. I didn't confront. I opened the shared iPad, the one Chloe thought I forgot to unlink from my iCloud, and I started scrolling. Messages, notes, screenshots, a shared Google Doc titled Phase 2, Moving Forward Without Guilt. In it, Chloe had written, He'll come back. He always does. If he gets weird, say it's triggering to talk about money. Mom and Dad will cover for me. He's not even using the room. He has an apartment. This is about boundaries. Don't let him guilt trip you. If he threatens to cancel the card, say you're going no contact. He won't risk being the bad guy online. But that wasn't the worst. The worst was the voice memo. It was just 18 seconds long. Dad's voice, clearly recorded mid-conversation. He's always been like this, possessive, controlling. I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he's jealous. She actually has purpose. Then Chloe, he doesn't even like people. I think he's one of those quiet narcissists. My own father. My own sister. Labeling me, diagnosing me, spending my money while turning me into a villain in their little indie film. And Mom? She was in the background laughing. I downloaded it all. Voice memo, Google Docs, screenshots, browser history, payment records, the receipt for the chandelier. I saved it to a flash drive shaped like a paintbrush, Chloe's gift to me last Christmas. Because you never create anything, she'd said with a grin. Maybe this will inspire you. It did. It inspired me to expose the truth. And I knew exactly when to strike. Sunday dinner. Chloe's art launch party. The one where she invited 20 people, mostly mutuals from the internet and our clueless neighbors. Mom was cooking. Dad was on security duty. They thought they were hosting a celebration. I was planning a moment of truth. The night of Chloe's art launch felt like theater, but I wasn't there to applaud. I was there to close the curtain. They'd turned the house into a festival, fairy lights in the backyard, a mocktail bar on the patio, a playlist full of breathy female vocalists singing about healing and letting go. Chloe floated around like some kind of pastel priestess, barefoot and glowing. She was wearing my hoodie, the one I thought I'd lost. She cut the sleeves and called it reclaimed. Guests sipped drinks and complimented her bravery. Someone asked Dad what inspired Chloe's journey. He smiled and said, "She's been through so much. This space is her sanctuary. We're just here to support. Support with my card, my room, my life." They didn't know what was coming. I waited until dessert. Mom had just placed a tray of lavender cupcakes on the table, and Chloe was unwrapping some candles gifted by a girl with a septum ring and an Etsy shop. Then I stood up. "I'd like to say something." The room quieted. Chloe blinked like I was off script. "Now's not." I held up my hand. "I just want to thank you all for coming. Tonight's really special. We are here to honor a journey of healing, truth, and artistic transformation. And since we're all about truth, I brought some." I pulled a small Bluetooth speaker from my jacket, placed it on the table, turned the volume up, then hit play. He's always been like this, possessive, controlling. I don't know what's wrong with him. Maybe he's jealous. She actually has purpose. Dad's voice filled the air like poison in a church. He doesn't even like people. I think he's one of those quiet narcissists. Chloe's voice, sharp and smug laughter. Mom in the background. Nobody moved. Then I pulled the flash drive from my pocket, held it between two fingers like evidence in a courtroom. This is just the beginning. There's more. Texts, financial records, screenshots of the shared card you used to order $500 of emotional branding decor, and the Google Doc you made, Chloe, the one titled Phase 2, Moving Forward Without Guilt. Want to guess how many people have seen it now? Chloe stood frozen. "Then you're making a scene." "Oh, I haven't even started." I clicked to the next recording, a voice memo of Mom saying, "Let him throw a tantrum. He'll get over it. He always does." Someone near the back whispered, "What on earth?" Dad finally snapped. "Turn that off. This is her night." "No, Dad. This was my room, my money, my name on the card, and you, all of you, acted like I was furniture. Furniture you could throw out when the decor changed." Chloe stormed toward me, face bright red. "You're trying to destroy me. You're jealous." I turned to her, calm as ice. "I'm trying to expose you. And don't worry, I already sent the recordings to your podcast sponsors. I'm curious how healing through honesty plays with corporate donors when the receipts show credit card fraud and staged trauma." She gasped, actually gasped like someone had cut her feed to the audience. Then the doorbell rang right on time. I opened the door on the porch to Jordan, her ex, the one she'd smeared across 2 episodes of her show, calling him a financial manipulator and a subtle abuser. He looked calm, dead calm, and in his hand, a manila folder. I stepped aside. He walked in like a surgeon. "Evening," he said. "Apologies for crashing the event. Chloe, I'm here to correct the record. This," he held up the folder, "is a printout of every transaction, message, and voice note you faked about me, including the one where you told your friend you'd call me abusive if I didn't Venmo you rent." Chloe's lips trembled. Mom stepped forward, trying to intervene. "Maybe we should talk about this as a family, huh?" Jordan cut her off. "I'm not your family. I'm just one of the people your daughter stepped on while she curated her victim brand." Then he looked at me. "I got your message. I wasn't sure if it was real." "It was." He turned to Chloe again. "You ruined my job interviews. You called my new girlfriend's office and told them I had a history. You're about to find out what it feels like when the truth hits back." Then he handed her the folder. "You're being served." Dead silence. A few of the guests began shuffling toward the door. Someone said, "I didn't sign up for this." Dad started yelling, "Get out of my house." I turned to him slowly. "It's not yours. The mortgage is in my name. I checked last month. You never changed it. All those autopay bills? Canceled yesterday." He lunged toward me, I didn't flinch. Touch me and I'll play the rest. The voicemail you left me after Chloe used my card, the one where you said I was a financial mistake born too early. Want the guests to hear that one, too? He stopped, frozen like his bluff had just collapsed. I walked toward the door, turned back just once. Oh, and the dog? He's mine, too. But I think he's the only one here who actually deserves this home. Then I looked at Chloe. I left for 3 days to get something loyal. I came back and found betrayal. And with that, I left. Left the guests. Left the past. Left the ashes. I didn't go back, not that night, not ever. I left Chloe's party and walked until my legs ached. Slept on the floor of a half-furnished rental with a thin blanket. My dog curled up beside me like he knew everything. No pillow, no curtains, just silence and peace. For the first time in years, no one asked me for anything. I didn't post, didn't explain, didn't defend myself. I simply disappeared. 3 days passed. No calls. No texts. Not even from Mom. Then on the 4th day, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Inside was a handwritten note. You've made your point. We get it. But if you're going to keep this up, don't expect us to sit back and watch our family fall apart. No signature, but I recognized the handwriting. Dad always wrote his G's like 6s. The same day, I got an email from a lawyer, a real one this time. Chloe had filed a complaint alleging emotional sabotage, theft of creative property, and unlawful surveillance. There was no case, no merit. But that wasn't the point. The point was to rattle me, to remind me they weren't finished. I forwarded the email to my own lawyer, a quiet man named Harris I'd known since college. He read it, snorted, and replied with 2 words. Let them. So, I let them. Let them talk. Let them spin. Let them rewrite. And I stayed quiet. I got a new number. Didn't send it to anyone but work. I changed banks, canceled every shared account, froze the card Chloe had used. The next week, I got another letter, this time from Mom. You've hurt your sister more than you know. She's not eating. She's not sleeping. You've broken something. I read it once, then tore it in half. Chloe hadn't broken. Chloe had landed. Her mess fell back on her like it always should have. They just didn't expect anyone to let it fall. A week later, I saw Dad at the grocery store. He didn't see me, or pretended not to. He stood in line alone with a pack of batteries and off-brand cereal. His shirt was wrinkled, his face pale. He looked smaller than I remembered. Not weaker, just exposed, like the costume had slipped. I didn't say a word, just watched him fumble his card at checkout, then shuffle out like a man who couldn't quite believe what he lost. 2 days after that, I got a knock at my door. It was Mom, hair tied back, no makeup. She held a casserole dish like a peace offering, like we were still pretending. I didn't open the door. I spoke through it. What do you want? I just want to talk. No, please. I'm not here to fight. You were always here to fight. You just hide it under guilt. She didn't speak for a second, then softly, she's still your sister. I laughed once, bitter, quiet. No, Mom. She was your project. I was your backup plan. I turned the deadbolt. She didn't knock again. 3 weeks passed. The world kept spinning. I took my dog on long walks every morning. Drank black coffee from chipped mugs. Didn't say good morning to anyone. Didn't answer calls from unknown numbers. I started remembering what silence sounded like. And then the strangest thing happened. I stopped caring, not pretending, not burying, stopped wondering what they were saying, stopped checking Chloe's podcast page, stopped replaying the voice memos in my head. One day, I woke up and didn't even think of them until lunch. And when I did, it wasn't with rage. It was with relief. I was no longer part of their game. I wasn't waiting to be asked or blamed or needed. I wasn't anything to them anymore. And that was freedom. 3 months. That's how long it took for the silence to stop feeling like punishment and start feeling like protection. I didn't speak to Chloe. Didn't speak to my parents. They tried once, a weak email from Dad asking if I could be the bigger person. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I had already won. Not by revenge, not by exposure, but by erasure. I erased myself from the story they used to control me with. No more holidays, no more group chats, no more we are family when it was only ever one-sided obligation dressed as love. And then came the letter, handwritten again, but this time it was from Chloe. I don't expect forgiveness. I just want you to know I'm in therapy. Real therapy, not the kind I talk about online. The kind that hurts. You were right about a lot of things. I don't blame you for walking away. I would have, too. I read it once, then folded it and put it in a drawer I never opened because something happens when someone spends years twisting the truth. Even their apologies sound like strategy. The next day, I went back to the old house, not to talk, not to reconnect, but for one thing they never returned, my hard drive. It was still in the garage where I slept that night after the studio reveal. When I opened the drawer, it was right where I left it, dusty, forgotten, plugged into an extension cord like someone had tried to access it and failed. I took it, left the rest. They didn't see me. They didn't even know I was coming. And I liked it that way. That night, I sat on the floor of my apartment, the dog's head resting on my knee, and I opened the drive. Inside, every document, every transfer, every message I'd saved, not to use, but to remember, to remind myself that I wasn't crazy, that what happened really happened. I could have done anything with those files, sent them to Chloe's podcast sponsors, emailed them to Dad's old employers, printed them, and taped them to their front door, but I didn't. Instead, I opened a blank Word document and wrote one line. I am not responsible for the lies people tell about me to feel whole. Then I deleted the drive, formatted, gone. Not because they deserved mercy, but because I deserved peace. The next morning, I went to the bank and changed my emergency contact to my coworker, not family. Updated my health insurance, removed my mother's number. I left the bank and walked past a street vendor selling handmade keychains. One of them caught my eye, a small metal tag engraved with, "Do not return to sender." I bought it, attached it to my keyring. When I got home, I did the last thing I've been meaning to do. I turned off my phone, took out the SIM card, snapped it in half, and slid a new one in. New number, no forwarding, no goodbye. Because closure isn't a conversation, it's a choice. And I chose this. No more explanations, no more favors, no more family that only knows how to need, never how to see. They can call it selfish. They always did. But now there's no one left to say it.